Best time to check it out? Now. A recall won't expire, but sooner than later can be the difference between life and death. And C, complaints received on a vehicle compared to the number of vehicles produced will prompt investigation into a vehicle's safety. To file a complaint, go to nhtsa.gov. Now you know your ABCs of automotive recall. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Before Star Wars, the Roman Empire ruled the universe, and its influence of galactic proportion was enabled by the Appian Way. Don't travel far, because when we come back, I'll tell you about the Queen of all roads. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. The Department of Agriculture determined ethanol's energy balance to be 1.7 to 2.3. That's to say, today's ethanol production yields nearly twice as much energy as it took to create. Also, in 2011, ethanol use reduced tailpipe CO2 equivalent emissions by 25.3 metric tons. I'm Bobby Likis with 20 facts about ethanol, brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association. All roads lead to Rome wasn't just a concept. In 300 BC, it formed the politico-economic bedrock of the civilization. Dubbed the Queen of all roads, the Appian Way originally ran a short distance from Rome to Capua. But at the height of the empire, the Roman road system spanned 50,000 miles. Milestones originated along the Appian Way as mileage markers for soldiers and merchants. But the most dramatic measures of distance were the bodies of Spartacus' 6,000 rebelling slaves, whose crucifixes appeared every 70 yards on both sides for 130 miles. The empire really did strike back. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And here we go again. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house. Just remember, every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you from the center of the automotive universe. The crew standing by. Miss Kim will take your call at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. Put you in a queue, and I will put you on the air. Jonathan is really checking how things work and how your calls come in. Meanwhile, Kevin is controlling all the knobs. So if for some reason you don't hear me, it's Kevin's fault. Right, Kevin? Absolutely. Say yes. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Delphi. Not just quality parts, Delphi quality parts. Connect with Delphi Auto Parts on Facebook for tech tips and auto advice. Also proud, especially proud, that this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. When it comes to safety, there's nothing more important than your vehicle's brakes. And you can trust the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to help you choose the brakes that are an exact fit for your vehicle. Brands like Brake Best Select, and Wagner Thermal Quiet. At guaranteed low prices, O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices, better parts every day. I'm going to come back and take your calls. Gentleman's already in the queue. And as promised, I'm going to share with you the 10 most stolen vehicles in America for sure. Don't touch your dial. Like us, you'll love us.
O'Reilly. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today and pick up a 16-ounce can of Gum Out Parts Cleaner free after mail-in rebate. Great for cleaning brake drums and rotors, carburetors, air intakes, and all unpainted metal parts. Hurry in for this free offer at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Delphi has over 100 years of OE expertise, delivering the parts and support to make vehicle service and repair simple, accurate, and affordable. Delphi supplies automotive technologies to the top 25 manufacturers worldwide. From ignition to engine management to fuel systems, whether your vehicle is a hybrid or fuel-powered, Delphi has you covered. When it comes time for a repair, remember that with Delphi parts, it's not just quality, it's Delphi quality. Find Delphi Auto Parts on Facebook or YouTube, or drive to DelphiAutoparts.com. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Phase separation is the separation of gasoline and water in your tank, which can cause corrosion. All hydrocarbon gasoline with no ethanol can suspend about 0.15 teaspoons of water before it separates. E10 can suspend about 4 teaspoons. That's over 26 times more. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association. Grab your calendars and let's make a date for next Saturday's Car Clinic Globalcast. My in-studio co-host will be Bob Long, a broadcast veteran and an automotive expert in his own right. Bob's been told that he has an encyclopedic knowledge of new vehicles, classic cars, the auto industry, and aftermarket trends. And in 1992, Bob launched the nationally syndicated Auto World program. So tune in, better yet, call in to the Bobby and Bob Show. We'll talk cars and have fun. That's Bob Long on next Saturday's Car Clinic.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Like Shakespeare, we ask the question, what's in a name? Ours is pretty blah. We're Geico, not to be confused with Gecko, a small tree lizard. And no, Geico doesn't have a sister company named Girlco. So, in the absence of a perfect name, focus group tested for hipness, we offer car insurance at a fair price. In 15 minutes, you could save 15%. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Our name may not be cool, but saving money always is. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
I tend to put things off. For example, I put off getting a home equity line of credit for a while. Then one day, when I should have been doing my laundry, I went to LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form and got 4 offers back within hours. Then I chose the line of credit that was right for me. Who knows? I may even get around to using it someday.
When banks compete, you win at LendingTree.com. Equal housing opportunity. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Welcome to this edition, as I mentioned earlier on during the open. Let me share with you some exciting things that we're doing today that you really should take part in. Carlson, the Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper, a $150 gift card that I spoke to and addressed last week is today. So this card is worth $150 in purchases at any Auto Value or Bumper to Bumper store where you can pick up quality products, including the Carlson quality brake hardware parts and kits that I talk about. Remember, a brake job is not complete without replacing the old brake hardware. And if you're in the business like you'll know that the hardware really protects the job, protects you, because it makes the job work better. But enough of the technical. Just understand that when you call in, and you can't just drop by like the food court and have a bite and leave. You call 888 Car Clinic. Miss Kim will take your call and put you in the queue, and you can ask a simple question. You don't have, it's not rocket science. Everybody got a question. Can you run high octane in a low octane designed engine? Any benefits to running low in a high octane engine? Should you run synthetic oil and pay that price, or run conventional oil? How often should you change the oil? How much tire pressure should you run? How often should you replace windshield wiper blade? I could go on and on and on. But the fact is, that's your part, and that's what part you play. And when you call, we're going to put your name in the hat, so that at the end of today's broadcast, which will be roughly the second hour, maybe 50 minutes or so after the hour, we're going to draw your name or a name out of the hat, and the lucky winner is going to have a $150 gift card from our friends at Auto Value or Bumper to Bumper, and you can take that to a store of your choice in your own hometown and get stuff with it, stuff for your car. Well, obviously, it's a car show. That makes a lot of sense to me. We have Jim in the queue now. He's a Car Clinics reporter, so he doesn't qualify, by the way. So I know he can hear me on hold right now, so Jim, sorry about that. I am going to share with you the 10 most stolen vehicles in America, and also remind you this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by Delphi. Not just quality, Delphi quality. Connect with Delphi Auto Parts on Facebook for tech tips and great auto advice. Here we go. The top 10 most stolen vehicles in America, and this is by the National Insurance Crime Bureau. So just for you to know, that's the NICB, and you can actually get a state-by-state map of auto theft at their website, which is it's pretty cool. It'd be interesting to see which states have the worst theft. But here's the bottom line. For 2014, now this is 2015, no, older foreign cars and domestic pickups were the most frequent targets of bad guys and gals. NICB says that the most stolen vehicles from any model year were, should I start at 10? Kevin, should I start at 10 and go to 1?
Yeah, let's do it that way.
Oh, okay. Countdown. All right, number 10, Nissan Maxima with 6,500. You don't need the numbers, but, well, I guess you do, because the difference between the bottom, which is number 10, is 6,500 units, and the top car is 51,000 units. Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, number 10, Nissan Altima. Number 9, Acura Integra. I bought my daughter an Acura Integra for her 16th birthday. It was a used car, had 48,000 miles, and she put 200,000 miles on it, and it was almost indestructible. Well, I guess it was indestructible because it was still running. Number 8, Nissan Altima. Now, I said Maxima for number 10. Number 8 is Nissan Altima. Number 7, Dodge Caravan. Who'd want to steal a Dodge Caravan? I mean, that's kind of a workhorse, right? Really? Okay. Number 6, Dodge full-size pickup. Now, I could see that. Number 5, Toyota Camry. Yeah, you could be incognito because there's so many of them out there. Which one is stolen? Yeah. Number 4, Chevrolet full-size pickup. Now, that'd be a good vehicle if you could keep it running. Well, okay, a little humor there, a little humor. Ford's full-size pickup. Yeah, they're pretty good if you could change the spark plugs in one without breaking them off in the cylinder head. And number 2 car of the most stolen vehicles in America, Honda Civic at 43,936. What was the number 1 car? Should I throw that out as the trivia? No, I won't do that. Honda Accord. Honda Accord. 51,290 vehicles were stolen. Well, that's a lot of thefts there. Very interesting. Hondas, Nissans. 888-227-2546. 888 Car Clinic. Kim will take your call, put you in the queue. You ask a question, we'll put your name in the hat, so please give her your information as she asked for. We do not and will not share your name or your email or any information that you give to Miss Kim with anyone else. That's just so that if you're not tuned in at the end of today's broadcast and I pick your name for the $150 gift card from Auto Value or Bumper to Bumper, then we can notify you. Jim, let's go to Jim in Michigan. Jim, as always, it's my pleasure to have you join us. How are you this morning?
I'm pretty good. I'm live, and the soccer game was good last week with a score of 1-1. My granddaughter super happy.
I can only imagine that. And Florida State was happy last night, but Florida State's coach, or Boston College's coach, I would not have been happy with either one of those teams. And I'm not a fan of, well, I guess I am sort of with Florida State, but weak, or else the defense on both teams, it was outstanding. But anyway, let's move on. What did you bring us from the automotive world?
Okay, Bobby, I want to say that at Frankfurt, Germany, they showed a new prototype Porsche, which will be in production in the year 2019. And I think from the style of it, it's sporty, it's large, just like a Tesla. And this car will charge in only 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
And it really looks like a gorgeous car when I saw it on TV.
So it's a Tesla fighter then?
No. Tesla is going to get competition from the Porsche car. Porsche is coming out with an electric car.
Right. So in other words, that's what I meant, and make myself clear. It's a car designed to capture some of the market that Tesla's enjoying.
Exactly.
Well, which only proves, Jim, that you and we've talked about Tesla and Elon Musk many times on Car Clinic, but it only proves that he really started something. It's not like Tucker Cars was. He really has started something, and you know as well as I, all the manufacturers are watching who is not in the business but making cars, the Googles and the it's interesting. What else did you bring us?
Okay, Bobby, what else did I bring you? I brought the fact that Volkswagen has 500,000 cars pulled by the U.S. government for the emissions control, which can affect people with an asthma condition. And they were claimed that they didn't properly show them, that they showed it with the control off, and they have to correct it. 500,000 cars.
Well, I read late in the middle of the late evening, I read something about that, Jim, and it is my understanding that Volkswagen intentionally installed software that would enable the engine to pass emissions controls during a test, and yet that particular setup was set aside as it ran because it would affect the running, and so they made it run well for consumers and test well, but it wasn't the same setup, and that's illegal.
That's right. You play with the government, and they're going to catch you.
And so they're going to make an example. They're going to make an example out of VW on this, right?
Exactly. Now let's talk about examples. You and I have already talked about this topic. This is a new spotlight on the subject.
Uh-huh.
The airbags by Taka, they have been informed to get customers to have a safe airbag quicker. What they're going to do, though, is some of the cars will get a safer airbag a lot quicker, but they admitted that will be a temporary airbag that they put in their car, and they will ask you again to come back for a second replacement. But the one they do the first time, will be more protection than the one you have currently in your car.
Well, you want to ask me what I think about that, or shall I just tell you?
Go on, tell me, Bobby.
You cannot, and I've been in the business 44 years, you cannot give someone a temporary anything in the automotive service industry and say, now be sure you come back in 2,000 miles or in 2 months, and we're going to take this out, because
when they got it, they're going to keep it.
They got to keep it. They're going to keep rolling. As long, out of sight, out of mind, the bag doesn't deploy. And so I think they need to do it right the first time. It reminds me of waking up after open heart surgery, and your doctor looking down said, you need a double bypass here. We only did it one time. We're going to let you recover, and in 6 weeks, we're going to go back in and do the other one. Really?
Well, the doctor told me when I had my stent put in, he says, I fixed your heart, but that don't mean you have to kiss the nurse.
Well, that's another story. We got a break here, a hard break. So, Jim, stick around. I'll come back to you. And then we go to Freddie. And then, folks, your calls, 888-227-2546 when we come back. Today, I'm giving away a $100 gift card, courtesy of Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper. The folks at Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper would like to remind you to replace your brake hardware with every brake job. A brake job is more than just replacing shoes and pads. Brake hardware is all the supporting components in, on, and around the caliper and pads that help properly align the brake pads and retract them away from the rotor. The result is smooth, reliable, quiet, and efficient brake performance. Replacing your brake hardware is a small investment to ensure your brake job is complete and done right. Be sure to insist on Carlson quality brake hardware for certified fit and performance. You can find Carlson quality brake hardware at your local Auto Value or Bumper to Bumper store. Call me at 888 Car Clinic with your car questions, and we'll enter you to win the $100 gift card today, courtesy of Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper. Our friends at K&N recently introduced us to the Children of Fallen Patriots Foundation, a group dedicated to ensuring an education for those left behind. Even with benefits, families still face an average cost gap of $32,000 for college. Kenzie Vazari graduated from Georgia Regents University in 2013 with a scholarship from Children of Fallen Patriots Foundation. She was 15 when her father, Army Staff Sergeant Dennis P. Merck, died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest. Says Kinsey, we never truly understood how deep some of his wounds were until he decided he couldn't live with it anymore. It wasn't until I started studying psychology in college that I realized my dad had suffered from severe post-traumatic stress disorder, an illness that's an ongoing epidemic for our nation's veterans. Yes, their sacrifice is our duty, and together we can help children realize the dreams their parents and our fallen heroes had for them. Honor the fallen today by joining the Class of 19 at fallenpatriots.org. That's fallenpatriots.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100.
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I want to start by apologizing because I, at the open of the show, announced the Auto Value or Bumper to Bumper would give away a $150 gift card, and actually it's a $100 gift card. So I'm not going to change that. They are indeed and going to give me a $100 gift card to pass on to you, but I'm going to honor the other $50 with a $50 charge card that you can use for anything, and you can take it anywhere. So it's still going to be, the winner's still going to get $150 because those words came out of my mouth, and I'm not going to retract them, except to say that, I screwed up there, but that's okay. It's a live program, and so again, the $100 gift card it goes to the winner of today, and we're going to draw your name out of a hat from all the people who call in. And the number to call is 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. You call with a car question. We'll put your name in the hat, and I'll announce the winner at the end of the show today. And even if you're, taking a bio breaker away from the radio or away from the car or your phone and you can't hear it, Miss Kim will take your information and we will get to you, and you will get a $100 gift card usable at Auto Value or Bumper to Bumper stores. And in addition, I will send with you a $50 charge card, ever how the team does that you can use anywhere. So that being said, 888 Car Clinic is the number to call, and I'll come to you as soon as I can. We're talking with Jim, and Jim, we ended up talking about Volkswagen, and Volkswagen has some pretty serious issues because they modified, and from what I understand, what the EPA is saying, they modified the programming in their diesel cars that affects some 500,000 automobiles to make those cars emission test properly, and yet that would affect drivability. So they took that same program and parked it when you weren't testing the automobile. Now, I don't know how the car knows it's being tested or not, but the bottom line is I'm shocked that anybody would even do that, and I think we haven't heard the rest of that story as well. What do you think?
Well, from what I also understand, that the emission released would cause asthma sufferers to have a severe attack of asthma.
No question. It's the diesel.
40% increase. That's
exactly.
a big percentage.
Well, it's the bottom line is the automobile manufacturing and sales are huge. That's a huge business, and so the EPA makes a ruling with regard to clean air, and they're going to stick by it. What else do you have, sir?
Okay, what else I have is an interview that I read with Mary Barra from GM, where she's pleased that people with a Volt, the original electric car of GM, between Phillips can go 900 miles. She's strong and confident that in the next generation Volt, the mileage will be greatly increased between fill-up of the gas. Because I wonder, first of all, say you're a light driver like my wife and I. We don't drive much. And if you had that gas in there for a year, isn't that gas going to get old and have a problem?
That engine will be cranked automatically whether or not you use it or not. You could be on 100% electric, but that engine, so the answer to that is it will use a certain amount of fuel regardless of whether you want it to or not, to keep the injectors exercised and those sorts of things. So really, I don't see that as being a problem, but there are some fuel stabilizers that you can buy in rare cases, and I think we'll see what those cases are with regard to how rare they are. What else do we have, sir?
Well, let's talk about the Cadillac. And there's some new things coming in the 2000 time frame, 2016,
okay,
would allow you to drive on the highway without touching the brake or the gas pedals. And it will also work the same operation in stop-and-go driving. To me, that's bringing an autonomous car out there with saying they're official to a point, and I think it's interesting. The 2017 Cadillac will give you an added feature with connectivity, a wireless technology that can migrate and help avoid many accidents. For the people that say, no, I don't want driverless cars, do you want to be crippled or killed? No. That's where the no should go, in my opinion.
Well, I agree with you, and with Google and the cars that they're making, and Google had recently hired a veteran auto executive to oversee their autonomous car project, John Krafchick, and he was hired as the CEO of Google's self-driving project. He's a former Hyundai Motor America president and CEO, and he was a longtime executive at Ford Motor Company. And Alan Mulally, we all know who Alan is also on the board of directors at Google. So the bottom line is everyone in the automotive world is watching what Google's doing. And even though they're putting like 10,000 miles a week on these cars. So even though we say, well, they're not going to have autonomous cars, probably have taxis to start with. But the bottom line, most of the technology, almost all of the technology that's being used to self-drive an automobile can be used in the cars that we drive to make us safer. So it's technology. You're gonna stop. We can't. Look at the internet. Look at telephones. I mean, go back 40 years and look at engines. I mean, if you'd have told me that, people call me and say I've got 238 miles on my car. It doesn't run quite right. listen, and I can remember when 75,000 miles, if you've got a small block Chevrolet, you better pull the heads off because the valve guides are worn out. So a lot has changed, and it's for the better, and it's for safer. Jim, I want to thank you, as always, for being a part of, and a great part of Bobby Likis Car Clinic as our Car Clinic reporter. I thank you so very much.
You are so very welcome. You reached my golden broadcasting, and I thank you again.
Thank you, sir. Nice gentleman. Always cares, and I love to hear from him. Let's go to South Carolina. Then I'll see that Dave in Kansas has a question. But first, Freddie, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, Bobby.
Hi, sir.
Got a question. I've got a small block 350.
Okay.
I've had it rebuilt, and he told me to run the 30 weight for 150 to 500 miles. When I get through with that, can I put the Royal Purple in this 1977 small block 350?
Well, let me ask you a question. You said you had it rebuilt. Can you? I need some help on that. I need more information. Number one, did you just hone the cylinders and put new rings, or did you bore the block and put new pistons with new rings?
No, he done everything. He kept the old pistons. He said it had been bored 30 over before.
Mm-hmm.
He honed it, cleaned it, put everything in it, but he used the old pistons.
Well, I have a concern, and it's not about Royal Purple. It's about synthetic oil in the engine. I have a concern, and I'll tell you why. Number one, it's a 30. You have straight 30 weight oil in it, right?
Well, right now there's nothing. We're painting the motor, getting ready to put the stuff back on.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't understand. I mean, if the engine was assembled with assembly lube on the rocker tips and rocker fulcrums and pushrod ends, and then on the cam lobes and lifters, and timing chain, those are all EP, extreme pressure areas, so that they should all have a liberal coating of an engine assembly lube. That's number one. And I think, and depending on the clearance, see, because I don't know what the clearances are. Do you know if he machined the crank or did he polish the crank? And do you have any idea about the clearances? The reason I ask these questions is 30 weight oil, 10W30 oil can be used in any engine that calls for 30 weight oil, because it will just flow more quickly when you first fire the engine up. Now, I know you're going to take a shaft, and I know you're going to prime the engine before you put the distributor in and prime the oil, but that only primes the oil to the mains and the rods primarily, because the rockers don't get their fair share until after the engine is running and the air goes away and those sorts of things. So it's a little difficult, and it's not to be expected that you could get oil to everywhere it has to be, plus through the pre-prime method. And for that reason, I just assume put 10W30 in it, conventional 10W30 oil in that engine to start with, so long as you don't have a lot of excessive clearances. And why would you have excessive clearances? Well, he honed the cylinders. So do you know if he machined the crank or if he just polished the crank?
I'm not sure about that. All I know is the guy that's been doing it for 40 years.
Well, I mean, well, that's right. That's right. And he may well be using 40-year-old technology. So that's a concern that I have. And I could talk with him and ask him some questions, and he and I would be right on the same page. So here's the bottom line. I think that your question is premature. I think you should fire this engine. You can use 10W30 just as well, because remember this, and Freddie, this is for everyone. 5W30, 10W30 is really 30 weight or 30 viscosity oil at operating temperature. The 5 is for, and the W is for winter, so it gives you a faster flow of oil molecules. So any lower viscosity oil will out-lube more quickly than any heavier oil. And just for you to know, the NASCAR engines use 0-0 to qualify, so that there's there's less friction and less drag from the thick oil, so to speak. So I would stick with the conventional 10W30, prime it, and those sorts of things. I guess you painted it orange or red, right?
No, I painted it. It was blue.
Oh, it was blue.
The blue.
What year is it?
1977.
Well, next week, Bob Long is going to be on the air, and I would love for you to call back in and talk with him. He's like an encyclopedic in the automotive world with regard to classic cars, and he's going to be my co-host. So I'd love for you to. Well, you think you'll have this car fired up by then?
I'm not sure.
Well,
I'm taking I'm restoring the whole truck.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, you got a lot to go then. If you do.
Yeah, a lot to go.
Well, my friend, a 10W30. Stick with the conventional until after you put either 500 miles or at least 3 or 4 weeks of running, so that you can get a better handle on, number one, on any oil leaks that may pop up.
Yeah.
I mean, those things happen. So you want to look for oil leaks. You want to make sure you use, like I would recommend, like a 190 thermostat.
190. Okay.
I would. And what kind of carburetor on the engine?
What is that, Michael? Factory Quadrajet?
Yeah, Quadrajet. Okay. Well, okay, my friend. Good luck to you, and please call back in next week and talk to Bob. He'll want to hear more about this 77 model automobile, as will my listeners. And I'm going to take Dave's call right after the break. Grab your calendars and let's make a date for next Saturday's Car Clinic Globalcast. My in-studio co-host will be Bob Long, a broadcast veteran and an automotive expert in his own right. Bob's been told that he has an encyclopedic knowledge of new vehicles, classic cars, the auto industry, and aftermarket trends. And in 1992, Bob launched the nationally syndicated Auto World program. So tune in, better yet, call in to the Bobby and Bob Show. We'll talk cars and have fun. That's Bob Long on next Saturday's Car Clinic. Stant is the expert when it comes to radiator caps, thermostats, and fuel caps, supplying manufacturers as far back as Henry Ford's Model A. You can trust that Stant fuel caps will deliver OE performance. A leaking fuel cap is more than just the pain of a check engine light. Evaporating fuel costs money. Stant fuel caps are built so well they can even seal with part of the cap broken away, helping to keep you safe. Stant also offers locking fuel caps. Drive to Stant.com or your local retailer today. That's Stant.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but morning's knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
Good night, Prevotella. Good night, Actinomyces. Good night, Streptococcus.
Germs, millions of them. They've been building up in your mouth all day, and some of them can even lead to the gum disease gingivitis. Say goodnight with Listerine. Just 30 seconds of Listerine before bed kills germs, even germs that can cause gingivitis. Use Listerine every night and go to sleep with a healthier mouth. See your dentist. Use as directed when brushing and flossing aren't enough.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Gluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lumels. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, coming to you from the center of the automotive universe. Remember, we do have a $100 gift certificate, good at any Auto Value or bumper-to-bumper store where you can pick up many quality products, including Carlson Quality Brake Hardware. Remember, a brake job is not just a brake job, and it's not complete without replacing the old brake hardware. If you've just tuned in, when I opened the program today, I said it was $150, and that was my mistake. So a $100 gift card is from our friends at Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper or Bumper to Bumper, and then the $50 is coming from yours truly because I said it. So in essence, the winner, and the winner will be announced at the end of the next hour. Today's broadcast, like every day, every Saturday, is from 10 till noon Eastern Time. You just leave your information, you call with a car question, and we'll put your name in the hat, and you don't have to do anything trick or fancy to win. We're just going to draw a name out of the hat, and maybe it'll be yours. Somebody's going to win a $100 gift certificate from Auto Value or Bumper to Bumper, and a $50 credit card from yours truly. I see that Dave is on the phone. I'm going to go to Kansas, and then I'll take your calls at 888-227-2546. Miss Kim will put you in the queue, and I'll put you on the air. Dave, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I've got a 05 Mercury Mariner, four-wheel drive, six-cylinder. Gets horrible gas mileage, but that's beside the point. It's going to get horrible gas mileage no matter what I do to it.
You.
I want to tow it on a car dolly behind my motorhome, and Ford says, no. Is there a simple way to disconnect those back wheels?
No. Drive shaft, you'd have to disconnect the drive shaft, which is not that hard to do, but it's mechanically, you have to get under the truck and then you'll have to make sure that the drive shaft is either looped up, and if you pull the drive shaft out, you'll have to have a yoke that plugs into, and you can buy a yoke, at any part store, that which is the front part of the drive shaft. You'd have to buy a yoke, otherwise dirt will get in and the oil that's in the transmission will run out. So those are things you have to have in order to make that work. I was just trying to think of while I was talking if there's another way, but there's not. You see, there's no lubricant. It's not the rear differential that's the problem or the rear wheels that's the problem. It's the fact that when the rear wheels turn, which are normally driven by the drive shaft, they in turn then are now driving the drive shaft from the rear. So the drive shaft turns, and when it does, it turns things inside the transmission, like the output shaft, and unless the engine is running, there are some of the parts in that transmission that don't get lubricated because there is no rear pump. The transmission has a pump on the front, not the rear. In some older vehicles that had a rear pump, that was not an issue. And a lot of the late model cars, I've often wondered myself, Dave, when I see a lot of motorhomes on the road and I see Acadias and Jeeps. Obviously, they're made so that you can, they're towable, because they're made for that. But in your case, that's not the case. So it looks like to me.
Essentially, this is a front-wheel drive vehicle, right? And
well, no,
electronics tell it to go into four-wheel drive, and that drives the back wheels.
Well, I would imagine that it's 50-50. I would imagine that what year is it?
It's an 05.
Well, I wouldn't call it a front-wheel drive vehicle, and then the back comes in. I would call it an all-wheel drive vehicle, and then if it's got a sophisticated system, and there's no way I would know just off the top of my head, quite honestly, how that setup is set up. But it's made, each one of the wheels has a speedometer, because they use the ABS and the traction control. So that speedometer tells the computer which wheel is going faster or slower than the other. So if you got three wheels, let's just say if you got three wheels that are going 40 miles an hour and you got one wheel going 70, well, that wheel is spinning and it's slipping, so you cut the power to that wheel. And that's how ABS systems work.
Oh,
and therefore, that's how not all, but that's the methodology used to direct which wheel gets the best traction. And to that end, which is there's a There's another device now that's out on the market that has clutch packs that mount outside of the differential that drive each axle, and when you're going around a curve, it directs a percentage more turn to the outer wheel, which has a larger diameter, and it's driven by the torque of the engine. It's called torque drive. I just read the article this past week, and it was really quite a feat of engineering, with clutches and it's of course controlled by a computer, and it's like some magic box on the car knows which wheel has the most traction, and it directs the power to that wheel. It's really good stuff. I mean, you can do anything with cars these days, except in your case, you gotta pull the shaft, and if you pull the shaft, you gotta either leave the drive shaft in there, which I don't know how
flopping around.
Well, you can't do that. You got to pull the shaft out, and when you do, you got to put something in there. And you can't just shove a rag, because there's no room to do that. So you can buy a yoke, and for your case, that may be. I mean, it's not inexpensive to do. The only challenge is that you have to get under it whenever you get to where you're going and put that shaft back in. Seems like that's a lot of trouble to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't disconnect the rear end and drive it.
No, well, the only way I know of is to pull a shaft. You can't disconnect it at the rear wheels. There are no free hubs. No.
Yeah.
No, no. But if anyone knows, it's an 05 Mercury Mariner. So
yes.
If anyone tuned in who has towed vehicles and have towed this particular vehicle and met this challenge, hey, give us a call at 888 Car Clinic. And share with us your experience. And Dave, you stay tuned. Maybe someone else across the nation has had this and worked out a better method than the laborious act of jacking the car. There's a lot of danger there. I wouldn't do it. I'd change cars.
I guess I'm going to have to buy a car trailer instead of a dolly.
Yeah. Well, see, car trailers really tow. I mean, what do you tow? What do you use to tow? What are you towing with?
Motorhome.
Oh, well, you never know what car trailer's behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a
Except
diesel?
when I try to back up.
Is it a diesel? Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's another. Well, hey, there's
we'll
electronics.
Get a wreck and we don't need to worry about it.
But Dave, there's electronics for that now with mirrors and reversible mirrors. When you're backing up, right's left and left is right. You know the drill there.
Oh yeah, I've been there, done that.
Yeah, I've been there, done that myself.
Yeah, try to put your boat in the water.
Why is it that you always back up and for some reason you say this is not right, so you pull up and you do it again, and then finally the third time or so you get it right. I think it's because maybe we don't go fishing enough or put the boat in the water often enough.
There you go. Hey, thank you so much.
You're welcome so much.
I'll listen to the program.
All right,
do
that.
Bye-bye.
So there you go. There's a to-do for you folks. If you got an answer for Dave, that'd be really great. Let me hear it. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Alex from Kansas. Let's see what Alex has to say. Alex, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
My question is, my father-in-law, we have a Honda CRV.
Okay.
It's in Kansas City. It's broken down, and I'm going to be probably trailering it to Garden City, Kansas. It's about maybe 300 miles.
Okay.
The CRV is all-wheel drive, and he's wanting to tow it with his van. It's an older van. It's a big V8. And in regards to that, because it's all-wheel drive, he was wanting to use it like just a car dolly, kind of similar to the Mariner, where you just put the front wheels up on it.
Right.
And because it's all-wheel drive, he's wanting to just disconnect the drive shaft to the back wheels, but he thinks that there's no plug or anything. It just, it bolts up on the outside, and there's no actual innards, but I'm not sure, not having ever used that vehicle. So
Well,
that's kind of my
if
question.
that's the case, he's right. If that's the case, you could look under there and see what I had what I envisioned when I was talking with Dave, Alex, was that you've got the shaft, you got the rear universal joint that goes to the differential, and then on the front you got a yoke that plugs into the transmission. But on some cars that have two-piece drive shafts, they actually. But most of those vehicles that have the solid connections at both ends are not telescoping, or at least in the middle they could be. And you'd have to look at the configuration. If it bolts onto a flange in the front, no harm, no foul, no problem. You just disconnect it because you're not unplugging a vein or a breathe port or a bleed port at the back of the transmission. So he can do that, but you should look at it and help him to decide that. And if you're not sure, have a local technician just look under the vehicle and help you to determine whether or not you've got a feature that you can unbolt and put in the back of the vehicle and then bolt it back in when you get to where you're going, or you have to plug the hole when you get there. I mean, ultimately, if you were out on the road in an emergency, you could take a plastic bag and a tie strap and put over the end of the transmission and pull that shaft out and let it leak into the plastic bag. At least you keep the dirt out, and you know where I'm going. I mean, that's not my choice, but there are always options. But those are not things that you plan for. Those are things that you got to do on the road when something hits the fan.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. We're on our way to go pick it up right now. And so we're not having the vehicle in front of us. We were thinking that we'd probably just disconnect it from the rear axle, and then the two front wheels would be up on the dolly, and so then the rear axle would just be spinning freely.
Well, but what's going to hold the shaft? How are you going to hold the drive shaft up when you disconnect it from the rear?
Maybe just a tie strap or something under the vehicle just to hold it up. We're not really sure.
Yeah, my only concern is I don't know of anything that you could, I don't know how you could do that and and be assured that it's going to stay because there's heat under there, there's bouncing under there. Tie straps are great. I use them and I love them. We ran rear engine dragsters and we had 200-mile-an-hour tape. It's duct tape. And we used to tape lead to the front of the axles to keep the car down and to keep the axle down in the front. But that's a different scenario. Hey, thanks for your call. You'll know when you get there, but you need to find a car just like it before you leave so you can have a better idea of what you're going to see when you get there, or at least go to an automotive shop and look at a diagram, a layout, and then you'll be better educated. That's what I would do.
That's a really good idea. We'll probably do that on the way.
Friend. Okay, good luck. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Stan. Let's go to Stan. Stan, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Good morning. How are you this morning, sir?
Fantastic. How about you, sir?
I am doing great. I have an incensed comment about this Volkswagen cheating.
Yeah. Did you read it?
In US,
have you read it, Stan? I mean, you understand what they're saying? And am I on the right track there with regard to on again, off again emissions controls?
The bigger story is in USA today, and they say EPA regulators say Volkswagen adopted a sophisticated algorithm that turned on vehicle full emission controls when it detected they were being tested for emissions performance. And
well, that's bad.
And I as you know, we've talked that I was employed as an engineer for a long time, and this is just some of the grossest. I'm just in a struggle for words.
I hear you. I understand what you're not saying, and to that end, many years ago, when a car and driver and by the way, we're going to have by popular demand next hour. We're going to have Eddie Alterman back from Car and Driver. We had so many great comments, and I went out this week and I got the Car and Driver book about the Z06, but that's another story. But here's the bottom line. I remember when manufacturers used to doctor cars up for Car and Drivers and the Road and Tracks and the magazines to come test them, and Consumer Reports, and then the Consumer Reports companies and all those aftermarket companies got smart, and they went to a local dealer and said, I want that one right there. Yeah, I mean that's truly the way you test the car that comes off the assembly line, not one that's had all the special goodies, and modifications done to it. So yeah, VW's in some trouble here.
Yeah, they projected, based on what the fine could be, it could be $18 billion. Which I guess is not a lot of money for them, but I would think that some folks ought to be thrown out for their lack of integrity. I mean, that is just a blatant, desperate move, and I don't perceive that, and they've been doing it since '09.
Well, how in the interest of time, Stan, how is it possible that a responsible corporate organization would allow an on-again, off-again, an intentionally, it's a fraudulent software is what's being, and you know what? We need to do more homework to make sure that we're not overreacting. But I'm sure that the EPA has already done its homework. This would be on the airways if they had not done their homework. And with that,
well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think we ought to stay tuned for future bulletins. But right now, the report looks fairly thorough, and it says that these guys did some stuff, and I think some very high responsible heads ought to pay the penalty, whatever that means.
Well, I agree.
I would not have.
Well, sorry, Stan, we're out of time. There's the music. I want to remind everyone, there's another great hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic coming up. If you're on the phone, stick with me. I'll be back after the top of the hour.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. Be sure the next time your car needs a new battery, you choose one with PowerFrame grid technology. It's not only 66% more durable than other grid designs, it's manufactured with the latest, most sustainable processes. Look for PowerFrame on the outside for true strength on the inside. To find a retailer near you, visit PowerFrame.com. That's PowerFrame.com. Grab your calendars and let's make a date for next Saturday's Car Clinic Globalcast. My in-studio co-host will be Bob Long, a broadcast veteran and an automotive expert in his own right. Bob's been told that he has an encyclopedic knowledge of new vehicles, classic cars, the auto industry, and aftermarket trends. And in 1992, Bob launched the nationally syndicated Auto World program. So tune in, better yet, call in to the Bobby and Bob Show. We'll talk cars and have fun. That's Bob Long on next Saturday's Car Clinic.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Bob, what's new? Last month I'm in Africa when this wildebeest charges me. We butt heads and he's history. After I pull my guide from the jaws of an alligator, I dig into some beef jerky. I get heartburn. I take out my Rolaids as I'm fighting off a wild boar. In under 10 seconds it starts working. Then the boar is bye-bye. My heartburn's gone.
Rolaids starts working in under 10 seconds? You expect me to believe that?
It's true. Rolaids starts neutralizing acid in under 10 seconds. ROLAIDS spells relief. Use as directed.
While Johnny Kim was getting ready for the first customers of the day, someone else was looking at Larger's face for his growing business. At 3 o'clock, while the Curtis family was watching their daughter's soccer game, someone else was walking a prospective tenant through one of their apartment buildings. And while Carmen Delabar was preparing for a fashion show, someone else met with an appraiser about her investment property. You've got a life. We let you live it. We're realtors. Real estate is our life.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Also, our toll-free line, 888 Car Clinic, is open as well. That's 888-227-2546, 227-2546. As I mentioned earlier in today's broadcast, during the first hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, $100 gift card from Auto Value or Bumper to Bumper store is in the works today, and I will be giving that away. You call with your car question, and we'll put your name in the hat, and I'll announce the big winner at the end of this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Also, for those of you who are just tuning in, I made the mistake and said $150. So rather than to try to correct the mistake, I am going to add to that $100 gift card from Auto Value or Bumper to Bumper my own $50 that's going to be a credit card gift card from yours truly and from the center of the automotive universe. So all the more reason, you just call with your car questions. Kim will take your call, put you in the queue, and I'll put you on the air. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by PowerFrame Grid Technology. PowerFrame Grid Technology is built stronger and more durable than other designs. That means that you can count on a battery with PowerFrame to be there start after start. You can learn more at powerframe.com. More when I come back about Stant, because it's a great product that I personally use in my shop. But right now, 888-227-2546 when I come back. What can open and close hundreds of times a day on your vehicle? Your vehicle's thermostat, which performs two critical jobs: accelerates engine warm-up and regulates engine operating temperature. With so much at stake, like engine wear, fuel economy, emissions, and cold weather drivability, choose a thermostat professional installers choose. Stant. Stant's Superstat is premium grade and features a heavier gauge stainless steel housing and larger heat motor for optimal temperature control. For more Superstat advantages, visit Stant.com. Today, I'm giving away a $100 gift card, courtesy of Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper. The folks at Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper would like to remind you to replace your brake hardware with every brake job. A brake job is more than just replacing shoes and pads. Brake hardware is all the supporting components in, on, and around the caliper and pads that help properly align the brake pads and retract them away from the rotor. The result is smooth, reliable, quiet, and efficient brake performance. Replacing your brake hardware is a small investment to ensure your brake job is complete and done right. Be sure to insist on Carlson quality brake hardware for certified fit and performance. You can find Carlson quality brake hardware at your local Auto Value or Bumper to Bumper store. Call me at 888 Car Clinic with your car questions, and we'll enter you to win the $100 gift card today, courtesy of Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper. Grab your calendars and let's make a date for next Saturday's Car Clinic Globalcast. My in-studio co-host will be Bob Long, a broadcast veteran and an automotive expert in his own right. Bob's been told that he has an encyclopedic knowledge of new vehicles, classic cars, the auto industry, and aftermarket trends. And in 1992, Bob launched the nationally syndicated Auto World program. So tune in, better yet, call in to the Bobby and Bob Show. We'll talk cars and have fun. That's Bob Long on next Saturday's Car Clinic.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
This is Willie Works.
Hello.
Back to answer all your laundry questions, like how to get out those tough embedded odors.
Like when your husband comes back from the plant. Woo! Smelling like he brought the whole place home.
Or when one of the cows escapes and you have to wrestle it to the ground.
Uh-huh.
What? I think that's a good one.
They're all good ones, and I have the solution. Febreze for the wash.
Ooh.
Just add a capful with your detergent and odors disappear.
Wow, 1 capful is all it takes?
Yep, Febreze for the wash. 1 cap, 1 wash.
And say goodbye to odors.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you've just tuned in, I do have a $100 gift certificate from Auto Value or Bumper to Bumper from our friends there. Also, a $50 gift certificate from yours truly, as I made the mistake earlier of saying I had $150. So we're going to honor that statement. And all you have to do is call. Miss Kim will put you in a queue, 888 Car Clinic, and ask me a question, a car question. It doesn't have to be, folks, the only dumb car question is the one not asked. So just remember that. And if you want to know whether you should keep your car and spend X amount of money or trade it in for a new one or a new used one, those are the kind of things that I can help you with. It will take your calls. Also, I want to remind you that Eddie Altman, by popular demand, back, and he's the editor-in-chief of Car and Driver magazine, and I sort of say I just happen to have, but I don't just happen to have. On purpose, I have the latest Car and Driver magazine that says Giant Slayer on it. You'll hear more about that coming up. But right now, we've got Cliff in New Mexico. I see David's in the queue. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Stant Corporation. The choice of OE manufacturers, that's the automakers, and the leader in aftermarket caps and thermostats. Find Stant products for your vehicle where? Stant.com. And your local automotive parts store across the nation. Okay, let's go to New Mexico to Cliff. Cliff, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I thought you dropped off the face of the earth. Haven't heard from you in a while.
Well, I'm sorry. I've been busy. I've been on technology training and all kinds of stuff training. And I'm still listening to your show, though. I learn a lot from you still. So what I learned from you, I use it wherever I could use it at.
And folks, just
you're like my classroom. To be honest with you, you're another classroom I like. So I really wish I could take your class. I'd have a great time with that.
Well, I'll tell you, we do have a great time, and to that end, there's a gentleman in Las Vegas, Captain Jim, who literally has sent me notes, and he says, "When do I get my certificate? From my education. I'm a certified learner of your program, and it really, I learn every week. Cliff, and folks, for your information, this gentleman is an automotive technician. He's blind." So that separates him from almost any other technician that I know. I don't know how you do what you do, Cliff, but again, I want to congratulate you and thank you for calling in today.
Well, thank you. It's been great. You were discussing the CVT transmission several weeks ago, and what brought to my mind was we had a car with the CVT in it. It got totaled just last month in August, and I had problems with that transmission. It was an 09 Versa with a 1.8 in it, and I had to have it taken in a couple of times because I told them that the transmission would wind up too loud. You can hear it underneath it.
Right.
And it wouldn't go into what it was supposed to go into to take off.
Mm-hmm.
But I know these things don't have gears, so they have no running gears.
Right.
It's just a chain-driven, belt-driven type system, but you can hear it whine.
Yes.
And a lot of times we have problems passing other cars with this thing, and that was really my downfall about the CVT, that you just don't got enough power to pull anything like that. It just... And it was a crossover Versa with the hatchbacks. They had two different ones. This was a little bigger one. But still, I was very dissatisfied the way the transmission acted, and I'm still not happy with them. We've driven some new ones. My wife and I had taken them out. Now, normally I don't drive, but and I just didn't. I still felt that same feel that the car just doesn't have enough pickup to go as you want to get it on the gear.
I hear what you're saying, and I agree. My first experience was with a Dodge Caliber. And I was one of total disappointment. All I heard was and nowhere. And then when I let off the throttle, the chain, and it is it's not a chain drive. The chain actually is pushed, but it has two different pulleys, and the pulleys, one pulley drives the other, and as one pulley grows together, the other one comes apart, so it changes. Ultimately, it's infinitely variable with regard to ratio. I thought it would be a fantastic transmission 35 years ago when I first learned of this transmission, and it was called the MAP or MAN transmission from Europe. But and I actually was so enamored by the idea that I called Don Gartlitz, and a friend of mine here in Pensacola was making bodies for Don Gartlett's dragsters. And so I called Don Garlitz, and I said, there's a transmission that has infinitely variable ratios, and you could shift it depending on how much traction, and you go zip like a zipper right down the inner.
Right.
You know, his first question was, well, Bobby, how much horsepower will it take? And of course, that ended that conversation, because you and I both know 200 horsepower, not 2,000 or now 8,000 horsepower. So, anyway, that didn't work. But the dragsters use something similar. They use a triple disc clutch that doesn't lock up. And when it does lock up, the rear tires smoke. So they've got their own version of the way that they apply the power to the track, depending on the traction of each individual track. But anyway, I agree with you. That would not be my choice. And there were many Nissans that came off the truck brand new, and into the dealership brand new, and the transmission was removed and replaced with another unit brand new before it ever hit the lot out there. I know that for a fact.
Yes.
So I don't know. They're better these days, but it would not be my choice, and I would not recommend one. I like 8 speeds.
We've tested them ourselves. We went. We didn't buy another Nissan this time. I was a little weary on that transmission, and now that's all they're really using on some of these cars. And I said, no, I'm not going there no more. I've had it with that. I want to hear something shift. So I finally went with a Toyota RAV4, which I got a good deal on, a brand new 2015. And I had to go all the way to Albuquerque and pick it up, but it has a 6-speed automatic with a 2.5.
Well, 6-speed, 7-speed, 8-speed, 10, and now Ford's put in, for public record, a patent of 11 speeds, so they're working on it. Hey, Cliff, thank you so much. It's always great to hear from you.
I also had a tribute for you, and I was telling her that when I was going to ask you when, and I already know this, and don't look it up, Bobby. I'm going to give you this one. When did they start creating, coming up with the idea with the piston cylinder idea?
Late 1800s?
I would say 1805. It was in one of our textbooks.
1805. Wow. Well, I know
that's something
Henry Ford's
over 200 years ago. They've been trying to experiment with that.
Henry Ford's first car was an 1896 quadricycle, and it ran on 100% ethanol. And America's first flex fuel car, was Henry Ford's 1908 Model T.
Yeah,
and a lot of people say, "What? Really?" So
isn't that crazy? Because they think that this stuff was just created a while back, and I said, "No, this has been going on since the 1900s. They've been trying to create these ideas."
And hey, Cliff, next week, make time. Call. Bob Long's going to be here. You really would like this person. He's a car guy, and so you got get a couple of factoids about classics and what have you, and call him next week, and I'll welcome him because he's going to be my co-host, and I want to welcome him. I want everyone to welcome him. Hey, thanks again, my friend, for calling.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Let's go to Florida and take a local call, or at least in Florida. David, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome,
I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I've got a 2000 model Buick LeSabre. I'm actually the third owner. Second owner was my aunt, and I got it from her.
Okay.
Whenever I've had to take and hit the brakes hard and then accelerate from that, and it's the first time it happened, I thought somebody had hit me.
Wow.
It shifted so hard. I didn't understand what was going on. I've noticed that whenever I go to make a left turn, when I go to accelerate, if I give it very much, it doesn't have to be very much at all. It'll shake and shudder. Try to take and lurch sometimes. It does it worse going to the left. Now, I've in the past probably 4 years, I've had the new CV joints, new struts, and everything put on it.
Did you put a quick question, Dave, in the interest of time, because we do have Eddie Alterman in the queue, and he's going to be coming up after the break. Did you replace the axle assembly or the outer CV? Gosh.
I believe it was the outer CV.
I thought so. Replace the entire assembly. It's the inner CV that's causing the problem. And folks, don't go away when I come back. Eddie, Ultimate Car and Driver.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Grab your calendars and let's make a date for next Saturday's Car Clinic Globalcast. My in-studio co-host will be Bob Long, a broadcast veteran and an automotive expert in his own right. Bob's been told that he has an encyclopedic knowledge of new vehicles, classic cars, the auto industry, and aftermarket trends. And in 1992, Bob launched the nationally syndicated Auto World program. So tune in, better yet, call in to the Bobby and Bob Show. We'll talk cars and have fun. That's Bob Long on next Saturday's Car Clinic. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol. Don't knock it. Let's talk octane and ethanol. Octane rating is the standard measure of the anti-knock index, or AKI, of a motor fuel. The higher the octane, the less the knock. Why? Higher octane fuel, like pure ethanol at 113, can withstand higher cylinder pressure and higher temperature before detonation, which is an uncontrolled explosion within that causes engine knock and damage. Ethanol not only protects against detonation, but also ethanol facilitates faster and lower temperature controlled combustion at the flame front, the place in the engine where the spark plug ignites the fuel. The result is less knock, more power, and better performance. I'm Bobby Likis, calling all technicians with 20 facts about ethanol, brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association. Drive to ethanolrfa.org.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Commercials are more effective if you use real people. So on the line is Angie McPhee, a Geico auto insurance customer who saved over $300. This is not an actor we hired to play Angie McPhee. It's the Angie McPhee. So in your own words, tell us, are you Angie McPhee?
Yes.
There. Unmistakable proof that Geico customers are real and save money. In 15 minutes, you could save 15%. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
Some original thinking by Starbucks barista Frank Botex.
What I love most is getting customers to smile in the morning. Starbucks is just a place to come and relax. Just kick your feet back. I mean, it's a second home. Starbucks is now in a grocery store, and what better way to just become your own personal barista at home? You go to the grocery store, pick up some coffee, take it home, let the aroma take over your body.
Your favorite Starbucks coffee. At grocery, at home, at last.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Call with your car questions at 888-CAR-CLINIC. With us on the line now is Eddie Altman, Editor-in-Chief, Car and Driver. And folks, the October issue of Car and Driver features the annual Lightning Lap, in which editors put the year's hottest performance cars to the ultimate test. Eddie, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Thanks for having me, Bobby. It's good to be here.
Before we get started and get into the times and your reviews of the world's fastest sports cars, set the stage for our Car Clinic listeners and viewers. What is Car and Driver Lightning Lap competition, and where do you conduct your testing, and what goes into pulling off such a feat like that?
Well, Lightning Lap is an annual test, and this is our 9th running of it. And the whole idea is not to do a kind of comparison per se, but just to generate lap times of the 20 or so hottest performance cars of the year. And we take them down to Virginia International Raceway, so that takes some doing, getting all those cars down there in Danville. And we choose VIR because it's fast, it's technical, and it's really the closest thing we have to an American Nürburgring. and it really tests the car's integrity. And that's really the point. We generate lap times of all these cars and see where they stack up, and we run them against the clock. But the truer meaning of the test and the deeper meaning of the test is to see if, the performance claims of these cars that have performance aspirations, if they bear out, if the cars really have that kind of integrity to stand up to a really, really tough racetrack like VIR.
So the results are in the latest issue of Car and Driver. Based on your testing, what are the fastest supercars for 2015, and how are the results calculated?
Well, we use GPS-based V-Box systems, highly, highly accurate 100 hertz data measuring system that the car makers use. So we get very, very precise times, and we're checking and rechecking their times, the car's times with different editors behind the wheel, just to make sure that we're within the realm of what's ultimately achievable. So this year, the top 5, starting with the 5th place car, is the Mercedes AMG GTS. And that car, as tested, I think that was $172,000. And it's just a beast, that thing. It's got 503 horsepower, rear-wheel drive, kind of a front mid-engine setup with some really trick engine mount, adaptive engine mounts that keep the secondary ride pretty balanced within the car. And that AMG GT is kind of built to take a piece out of the 911's hide. But in 4th place was the Porsche 911 GT3. Track-bred, 475 horsepower rear engine, just a monster. Great, great car, very consistent around the track. Great brakes. In 3rd place, now we're in the legitimate supercar realm. We're into the $250,000 Lamborghini Huracan, and this thing was painted bright green. It's got all-wheel drive, 603 horsepower, just another total monster. In 2nd place, the McLaren 650S Spider at $300,000, and those are the same people who make the F1 cars. So, that's a car that's really at home on the track. But beating them all this year is the hometown hero at $100,000, relatively cheap, the Chevy Corvette Z06.
That's amazing.
So it dusted all of the European heritage brands, and it just turned in an absolutely stellar performance on this track on this day. And, there are really some amazing aspects to this car. It's the fastest braking car we've ever tested. It's got the most grip, best road holding that we've ever tested, and that really came into play here. It was a spectacular car to drive around that track, and had tremendous amount of downforce. It really stayed stuck to it. And, I was thinking about the old Z06 compared to this one. That old Z06, at the limit of its tire's adhesion, it got a little spooky. You didn't know exactly what was going on. But now this Z06, it's got that electronic differential in the back. It's really, really well honed. It's just an incredibly drivable thing on the street. But when you get it on the track, it really holds together. And, kudos to General Motors for creating such an amazing, amazing car.
We're talking with Eddie Alterman, Editor-in-Chief, Car and Driver. And Eddie, a couple of questions that I have, and kudos to GM. When you look at the cars and think about the cars in the class here, especially when you mentioned the 911 GT3, because Porsche and road racing, and you mentioned Nuremberg, I've been there. It's amazing to me that, how dare an American car? It reminds me of the days when Cobra came out and won all the races. It's not supposed to happen.
Exactly.
Really.
Well, the Corvette has 650 horsepower, and it's got some more go. But what you mentioned is exactly right. Porsche has been honing its skills on the racetrack really from its inception, and they won the first Le Mans with the 917 back in, I think it was 71, and that was a watershed moment for them. But you got to give it to General Motors. They've stayed racing for a long time. They go to Le Mans every year. The Corvettes have been dominant, really, really great GT cars, and a lot of what is in that C7R that races at Le Mans is in this Z06 street car in terms of materials, in terms of development and engineering, and it's a serious piece.
Well, no doubt. A quick question. I did not get the numbers on the McLaren Spider. What was the horsepower rating on the McLaren, and is it an all-wheel drive or a rear wheel?
It's rear. It's 641 horsepower.
So here we have a McLaren a supercar, Spider, and they have the Corvette, relatively the same horsepower.
Right.
I don't know horsepower to weight, what the differential would be, but if I were, number one, Porsche, given the German background, AMG for that fact, a Mercedes-Benz, and Z06 came along and dusted. Can you tell us in the elevator speech, what the differential between the fastest, the Z06, and the slowest? The slowest AMG.
Well, the AMG GTS went around in 2:51 flat, 2 minutes and 51 seconds flat. The Corvette went around in 2 minutes and 44.6 seconds. So there's some space between those two.
Well, no doubt.
The McLaren did it in 2:45.8. So pretty close, but not quite close enough. And what we found was that in the straights, the McLaren pulled ahead, but then the Corvette reeled it in through the technical twisty parts of the track.
So can you tell us if the other cars had all the electronics? Certainly they're available to the OEMs. They can put on those cars anything they wish. But did they take full advantage of today's technology, do you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, it's funny, the stability and traction control systems in these cars have, multiple modes. So you can set them to give you a lot of slip angle and just kind of save your bacon right before you're about to plow off the track. But you can set it to the kind of ultimate nanny mode where you can't get the thing sideways at all, or you can set it to give you some additional slip and make you look like a hero.
It's not fair. Nobody ever saved my bacon. Eddie Alterman, editor-in-chief, Car and Driver. When does the magazine hit the streets?
Magazine went on newsstands Tuesday. And go to caranddriver.com for more info.
Eddie Alterman, editor-in-chief, Car and Driver. One final question. Were you one of the drivers?
No, I'm not fast enough. No.
Okay. Well, but you're honest, and that's what I like. Hey, thanks for joining us on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Folks, doesn't get any better than that. Go to caranddriver.com for more information and get yourself a Car and Driver report and see what GM has done to lead the way. Eddie, thanks again. It's been a pleasure to have you on Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
It's absolutely my pleasure, Bobby. Thanks so much.
Yeah. I too would be kind of a joke out there trying to drive that car around that track, but that's what traction control and all those electronics are for. But I got to tell you, you have to be in one particular frame of mind in order to go around a track that has all those twists and all those turns, and you're running 200 miles an hour down a straight, and you're coming up on a turn, and you can't go 200 miles an hour. It's a 30 mile an hour turn or a 40 or whatever it is, and you have to run as fast as you can, as long as you can, and then hope that you can stop, or at least slow to the point. And then when you get right in the middle of all that, you got to nail the throttle, because he who nails the throttle first, as long as it doesn't spin around, wins. So it's very, very interesting, and Car Driver did a fantastic job there. I own a Porsche, so that was the reason that I asked Eddie about the Porsche, because it and also our service facility, Bobby Likis Car Clinic Service Pre-Repair, which, by the way, we won Best of the Bay, and this is our 5th year, which includes all local dealerships, all local independent stores, and all local chain stores. But Bobby Likis, my team, just did a fantastic job, so hats off to them. There's another contest that we'll be announcing the winner as soon as we know, and that's Best of the Coast. And that's the independent news that's locally produced in Pensacola. But Gannett News, of course, was the Pensacola News Journal, and we won the Best of the Bay, and we won 2 categories this year, Best of the Bay and Best Oil Change. And so hats off to my crew. With that said, now coming up in at 50 after the hour, I'm going to be announcing the winner of the $100 gift card courtesy of Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper stores, where you can pick up many quality products, including the Carlson quality brake hardware that we talk about. And remember, folks, a brake job's not complete with the old brake hardware. You got to replace the hardware. It's a small investment for a huge return. So we're going to be announcing that winner coming up. In the meantime, I have some information for you, and you can still get in, by the way. It's 36 after, so 46, you've got 10, 12, 15 minutes. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546 with a car question. We'll put your name in the hat as well. Here's a repair tip that I think that you will, those of you who care, maybe this is for a 2008 Cadillac DTS with a base 4.6 V8 North Star engine. It's interesting because, and I bring this to you not to dazzle you with technical information, but to give you and provide for you information that helps someone fix their car, so that next time you have a problem that you say, well, hey, maybe it's not what I think it is, maybe it's that. Here was the problem. Here's a concern. The brake lights are on with the brake pedal released. Well, you say, well, that's a sticking brake light switch. A new brake pedal position sensor was installed. So the sensor was installed, but the lights were still on. So what fixed it? When I come back, I'll give you this. It's very interesting. Grab your calendars and let's make a date for next Saturday's Car Clinic Globalcast. My in-studio co-host will be Bob Long, a broadcast veteran and an automotive expert in his own right. Bob's been told that he has an encyclopedic knowledge of new vehicles, classic cars, the auto industry, and aftermarket trends. And in 1992, Bob launched the nationally syndicated Auto World program. So tune in, better yet, call in to the Bobby and Bob Show. We'll talk cars and have fun. That's Bob Long on next Saturday's Car Clinic.
They're out there. Gunk, corrosion, and wear. Relentlessly preying on engines. But new Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline provides unbeatable protection from gunk and corrosion, and superior protection against wear, for the best total engine protection you can get. Stay ahead of engine threats with new Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline today.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
You can call them used. You can call them previously driven. You can call them anything you want. The point is somebody, maybe even a dozen somebodies, owned the car before you did. And before you put down your hard-earned dollars for the car, you deserve to know exactly where it's been. Get a vehicle history report from Carfax.com. They'll give you the real history of any used car. Visit CARFAX.com or ask your dealer for a Carfax report. Don't buy a used car without Carfax.
I, Dennis Walker, pledge allegiance to the roof. I know it'll be clean. I know it will be comfortable. And I know that if the phone rings when I'm in the shower, I can just let it ring. For I have voicemail. Red Roof Inn. One room, under budget, with free cable and local calls for all.
98% of Red Roof guests are so satisfied with their visit, they plan to come back. Now that's not just loyalty, that's allegiance. For reservations, call 800-RED-ROOF.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this edition and this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. As we left for the break, I shared with you that a repair tip. And so this is for those of you, and it doesn't have to be a 2008 Cadillac. This happens to be a repair that was performed on and repaired brake lights that were on with a brake pedal released. And a new brake pedal position sensor was installed, but the brake lights were still on. So you say, well, they must be getting fire or power from someplace else. Here's the fix. First, you place the transmission in the park position, and then you install a scan tool. Now, what does that mean? It means you plug a scan tool into the car, but it's red. It's read. Words are red here, so I want to say as verbatim as I can. So, you plug in a scan tool, not just a reader. This has to be a professional scan tool. You clear all of the BCM DTCs. Well, what is that? That's a body control module trouble codes before you go any further. So now you've got the scan tool hooked in. If you're a technician, you've cleared all the trouble codes, and then you navigate the screen to the Vehicle Control Systems menu, and you select Module Setup menu item. You're already starting to see that this is not a simple procedure. But then you select the BCM menu item, and you select from that the BPP, which is the sensor calibration procedure, and follow directions on the screen. And what this did was it performed a brake pedal position sensor learn. So just because we put a new switch in, a new sensor, doesn't mean that that's going to fix the problem, because we had to initiate, and to educate the new sensor and the car's computer. And likewise, if you have the simple key fob and you unlock the door and it unlocks all the doors, but maybe the driver's door, we had this happen on a Lexus, and the driver's door doesn't unlock from the key fob, we said, well, the actuator's bad. Now, that's a simple solenoid, up and down solenoid, right? It should have a ground and a hot wire up and a hot wire down. So it should have 3 connectors. Had 6. We put it in there, had to take half the door apart and half the window regulator apart because of where it's located, because it's anti-theft. They don't want people to get in that particular part of the car to get to the unlock, that unlock the door scenario. So to make a long story short, the new Lexus door lock actuator had to be reprogrammed to the car. So you can put all the new pieces on new cars that you want to, but it's not going to be assured that they're going to work, because there are procedures that you have to go through. So when you get a price from a shop that says, okay, yeah, we can put the part in there, it's going to be X. Well, does that include reprogramming? Well, certainly it has to, because without it, it's not going to work. Let's go to Michael, who has a question about a F-150 7707 Ford, 2007 Ford F-150. Michael, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey. Thank you, Bobby Likis.
Thank you, Michael.
Pardon me? Well, I have an F-150 07, as you said, and when I accelerate the car from a stop position to go, it has this, like a tug type thing. It doesn't just take off smoothly. I guess it's a throttle or a throttle cable or something like that.
Well, that depends.
I don't know how best to describe it.
It depends. In other words, it's not linear. In other words, if you push your pedal down moderately, it should move moderately. If you get in a hurry and want to drag race, it should do that. Or if you just want to ease off and you're house hunting and you want to ease 5 or 6 miles per hour, wherever your foot moves from the rest position, which means idling, to moving the car, should go with the movement of the foot. Is that what you're saying that your truck doesn't do?
Correct.
Okay.
Unless I really nurse it nice and slow, it won't do it.
So what
if you just push the gas? And I'm not a speed demon. I drive normally.
Well, what if you? So what if you just you're at a traffic? What if you're in Atlanta, Georgia, and you're stopped at a traffic light and it says go, and everybody else around you goes, and you step on the accelerator? Does it not go?
It goes, but there's a 1, 2, maybe 1,001 second, and then before it really takes off.
I have to believe that there are more issues. Does the check engine light come on?
No, sir. And I had all the cam phasers and all that stuff done at 90,000 miles, and it's only at 130 right now. So.
And how long have you had this particular problem?
Oh, probably the last, I want to say year and a half, probably last 15,000 miles.
You know, the first thing, there are two things come to my mind. Number one, and you've already talked about timing, with cam timing and those sorts of things, which also is directly connected to ignition timing. Your vehicle and there may be a recalibration process that will eliminate this problem for your particular engine. And the only way that will be picked up is if a shop connects your car with the scan tool, like I was just talking about with this other technical tip that I shared, and then check with Ford Motor Company's OEM site, and we have to pay to get to that site, and see if there are any reprogramming issues that should be performed on your vehicle. Now, that would be the second thing that I would check. The first thing I would check would be fuel pressure. But when you said it's been a year and a half, if you had low fuel pressure, I doubt that it would go a year and a half if you had a regulator that's going out or a fuel pump that's going out, or a filter that was restricted. I think that it's more of a programming issue than anything else. And I will tell you, for me, that's a very aggravating situation. And if you'll notice, in the cooler weather, you just barely touch the throttle, and the engines love cold weather. And then as the weather warms up and the engine starts to lean out and all those sorts of things, sometimes performance can go away. There are a lot of things that can cause it, Michael, but I personally think a fuel pressure test with residual pressure needs to be performed, number one. So write that down. Okay. And it won't cost you the farm to do that. And then by all means, check for updates to the ECM, because Ford Motor Company they make this vehicle, so they may have upgrades and updates for your computer. Even if you didn't have this problem, there are probably upgrades out there, and that's what I would recommend that you do.
Is that something you do, sir, at your
shop?
Sure,
absolutely.
I'm here in Pensacola.
Oh, well, absolutely. Just you can reach out. We're open Monday through Friday. You'll want to call and talk to Brennan and tell him we talked on the air. Hey, Michael, thank you so much. Thanks for your call.
Thank you, sir.
888-227-2546. Let's see who's next. Oh, Tom in New York. Tom, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Oh, hi, Bobby. Nice to hear from you. Listen, the CVTs have taken a tremendous beating, in terms of like everybody from magazine writers, testers, and everything. But I got to tell you, I have a 07 Altima, Nissan Altima with the 2.5 in it. And whatever they did, they dialed that CVT in just perfect for that engine. That engine just stays in its power band all the time. And, when you take off, it's like getting launched out of a slingshot. No bumps, no shifts, no nothing. It's like, it's one of the best things about the car. Well, I tell you, I love that CVT.
I'm glad you called me, because I've never had anyone to make that statement. Now, I like the Altima. I think they're beautiful cars. And they continue. They work well. We don't have any real problems with Altimas. Now the Murano, if you've got 60,000 miles on a Murano or 90,000 miles, you're subject to have transmission. If you feel an oddity or an odd shifting or like or some lockup on one of those vehicles, you got problems. And we saved the customer from spending a lot of money, because one of our ASE certified technicians, who is Zach Cash, came from Nissan. And so he brought with him a wealth of information. And that's where when I talked about cars coming off the truck and going into the Nissan store and they're changing the transmissions, he used to put in 12 transmissions a week in new cars. These are new cars. And so unsold cars. So with that, I'm glad you called.
In 07, when they brought that transmission out into the Altima, they did increase the warranty just to keep people, comfortable.
Right.
With it. What they've done, though, on the latest one, I don't know if they did it on the 14s, but on the 15s, they introduced shift points in the transmission. So in other words, they took the best feature of the car, this nice smoothness, out, and they put shift points in it. They're just, I guess they're arbitrary where they put them. But I think that was a bad decision on their part. But I tell you, in the 07, they did a great job with it. I just thought it's a real smooth. I just love the transmission.
Well, yeah, you know that fluid must be changed, and you know there's specific fluid for that transmission.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to remind you, because if you like it and you want to keep liking it, you need to get that fluid changed.
The dealer down here is great, and I asked him about a fluid change on it. I've got about 60,000 on it now, but at about 35 or something, I asked them about it. They said don't have to do anything with it. So, but they're a great dealer down here in Vestal. They've done a real good job, taking care of the car for me. So I'll ask them next time it goes in. But
please ask them again.
I just think that was the best thing they could have done with that Altima. That's a great transmission for it.
It's great that you called, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bobby.
Oh, and by the
Love
way,
your show.
Tom, thank you so much. And be sure and mark your calendar next week. Bob Long is going to be my co-host, and I have so much respect for this person. He's just, and you're going to hear. He has the voice for radio. I got the face for radio, and Bob's got the voice. He is a pro.
I'm looking forward.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward
so
to it.
am I. I've never been on the air with him.
Week.
Okay. Hey, thank you, Tom.
Thanks.
I can't wait to Bob. You wait, folks. You'll hear what I'm talking about. I've seen him in action at SEMA. I've heard him in action. He's got it. He's got it. And speaking of getting it, somebody's going to get it right now. And I'm going to say the winner, and this is our Auto Value and a bumper-to-bumper gift card worth $100 as a gift card at any Auto Value or bumper-to-bumper store. In addition to that $100 gift card, yours truly, due to my mistake earlier, I'm giving away a $50 credit card. You can use that for anywhere you want to go. They'll take a credit card. So this is worth $150, and the winner is Car Clinic caller Dave from Kansas. So, Dave, if you're still tuned in Kansas, just want you to know that you've got a $100 gift card at any Auto Value or bumper-to-bumper store where you can pick up many quality products, including the Carlson quality brake hardware. And remember, folks, a brake job is not complete without replacing the old brake hardware. In addition to the $100 gift card from Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper, from yours truly is a $50 gift card. And so I want to congratulate our Car Clinic caller, Dave from Kansas. I'm sure that he will be delighted. Okay, let's go back to the phones. And, let's take a call from Russell. Russell, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, Bobby, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Good. I'm working on a 2011 Nissan Frontier 4.0 V6. Got a brake problem.
Okay, good vehicle, by the way. I like them.
Yeah, I love that truck. It's a great vehicle. But what the problem has progressed into is just gradually, as you would hit the brakes, it would seem like the pedal wanted to go the whole way to the floor.
Right.
Now, it would stop. I mean, from 70 miles an hour, you could nail it, and it would stop within specified distance.
Okay.
But that pedal seemed like it wanted to keep going to the floor.
Okay.
So me and my uninfinite wisdom decided must be brake calipers on the front. Replaced them, hoses, all the hardware.
Right.
Did everything right.
Right.
Laid the brakes out good.
Right.
Problem persisted. I said, dang, what's going on here? Maybe I missed some air. Laid the brakes again, according to the manual, Chilton manual.
Right.
And problem persisted. I said, dang, what's going on here? And I talked to my neighbor. He's kind of a mechanical guru, and he says, that sounds like master cylinder to me. Replaced the master cylinder. I have not bled it yet.
Okay.
But I bench bled it before I put it in the truck.
Oh, good.
Same thing. It'll stop dead within the specified distance, but that pedal wants to keep going.
Let me ask you a question, Russell. Does that vehicle have drums on the rear?
No, sir. Disc whole way around.
Oh, 4 discs. You do know that disc brakes spread. You do know that you can take a disc brake car, and this is a common complaint, especially with some older make automobiles. Now, I'm not sure that this statement belongs with your 11 Nissan, but once you put enough pressure to stop the car, you can still put more pressure, and all you're doing is spreading the caliper apart. You're going beyond what is needed to stop the car, and so you may be chasing something that's non-existent. I just want you to know that, because any car that has four-wheel disc brakes, especially four-wheel disc brakes, has more spreadability, because after all, that caliper is only so strong, and you can actually take the wheel off and get someone in there and have them step on the brake and lock the brake, and then say, now push another 2 inches to the floor, and you'll watch that caliper. It'll swell up because the hydraulics have so much pressure, but it's far and away beyond the threshold it takes to stop the vehicle. So you may be chasing rabbits here.
But it never seemed like it did.
I know. I knew you were going to say that, but by the same token, it may be something that you just really noticed, and now you've honed in on it and won't let it go away. Unfortunately, I have to let you go away because I have to go away. Next week, Bob Long, Bobby Likis, please join us 10 to noon Eastern, right here.
Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Mass airflow sensors balance and deliver the correct fuel mixture to your vehicle's engine for optimum performance. But dirt and other debris can get into sensors, causing sluggish performance, lower MPG, even failure. Covering 9 of 10 vehicles on the road today, Delphi knows auto repair. Delphi has the OE expertise to ensure a perfect fit for every vehicle every time. When it comes time for a repair, remember that with Delphi parts, it's not just quality, it's Delphi quality. Learn more at DelphiAutoparts.com. Grab your calendars and let's make a date for next Saturday's Car Clinic Globalcast. My in-studio co-host will be Bob Long, a broadcast veteran and an automotive expert in his own right. Bob's been told that he has an encyclopedic knowledge of new vehicles, classic cars, the auto industry, and aftermarket trends. And in 1992, Bob launched the nationally syndicated Auto World program. So tune in, better yet, call in to the Bobby and Bob Show. We'll talk cars and have fun. That's Bob Long on next Saturday's Car Clinic.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here, your aroma helps me wake up.